is that for teenage boys now, they are so terrified of the consequences of putting a foot out of line. It's hard enough being a young teenager, working out how things are, working out how to do dating and all of that, without the terror that if you touch in the wrong place at the wrong time, you may find that your whole life is destroyed.
See, and there is far
too much. Well,
I like that.
As a mother of a teenage boy, I don't like that terror.
That's the most thing I've ever heard.
That is
I think that
awful.
men should be frightened
I think
to
you'd
touch
feel
women in a way
differently
that
if you
they're
were,
not comfortable with.
But we're talking about
Yeah, but we're not talking about.
children.
We're not talking about.
We're talking about
it's an
young
interesting
children.
thing that you see. I would say that attitude actually is part of the problem too. That's to me toxic femininity.
It is.
That is saying you should all be terrified, you men, if you put one.
Of assaulting.
Well, I think we all understand what sexual assault is.
Assault?
What Isabel's talking about is that young teenage clumsiness
really
in many
hard.
cases, which is now being recategorised as assault. Is that a problem?
It's not being recategorised as assault. It's always been assault. It's just we're finally talking about it.
I don't agree with that. But I do think it's really hard for a 16, 17-year-old boy now in this environment to know even how to start
they are all
having some
terrified.
kind of physical relationship with a woman.
Those good boys are all terrified. I know that from talking to my son. He's just like, I'm just not going there. Is that healthy?
Yes, I think it is actually. I think it's better to not have a physical relationship than to have one that could ruin a woman's life.
But then how do they ever start?
Well, don't. If you're not 100% sure,
What? Are we going
don't.
What are you going to have? A bunch of Newton boys who never
it's
had...
so obvious.
We actually
It's
do
sort
have
of
that.
like-
Gen Z is having far less sexual relationships than any ever
They
before.
are, it's true.
And I'm also interested, I mean, like Jordan, I look at the data and I look at the studies, and I'm really also very much interested in studies like the analysis that was done by the American Psychological Society, which looked at 45 analysis of whether there's sex difference over 20 years. And its conclusion was that men and women are basically alike in terms of personality, in terms of cognitive ability, in terms of leadership. But what it did find was that media depictions of men and women as fundamentally different perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh, God, so it's my fault.
So, no, well, you're leaving soon. It's okay.
Men and women actually are more the same than they are different. But the issue is that small differences at the population level can turn into very large differences at the extreme. So, for example, men and women are broadly similar with regards to aggression, although men tilt a little bit more towards aggression. So that if you picked a random person out of the population, male and female, and you guessed that the male was more aggressive, you'd be right 60% of the time. But if you take the 1 in 100 most aggressive people, they're all male. And that's why the overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that, just out of curiosity? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male. And we've got about 3/4 of the population now in universities in the humanities and social sciences are female.
Yeah.
Are we going to equalize that? And men work longer hours. They work more dangerous jobs. They're more likely to move. They're more likely to work outside. They're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable. They make more money for those reasons. And that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender.
Because that's all guys want. All guys want is pussy. Swear to God.
What?
No. Let me rephrase that. Shitty men want pussy, and that's all they want from you. Hire guys that are worth more, that will benefit your life more. They're not just gonna want pussy from you, and that's a fact.
Or could it be that the men that only want sex from women is because that's all that the women have to offer? Because for me, if pussy is all you're offering, pussy is all I want.
Yeah.
Just like, you know what? How many times you've gotten to a club into VIP for free when some ugly chicks had to pay full price?
Is that my fault?
No. I've asked how many times it happened before you go down that path.
I mean, plenty of times in Miami.
Exactly, but that's not fair, is it?
Well, please don't forget I'm not from here.
But that's not the point, ma'am. That's not fair, is it?
I also don't care about those things.
But so you only care about fairness when it doesn't benefit you.
I just don't go to clubs that often.
But that's not the point. I asked you, how many times you've gone to a club where you got in for free, where ugly chicks or less attractive chicks had to pay? And you know that's happened. You didn't say, I'm still, excuse me, sir. Even though I'm attractive, I demand that you charge me full price. You're okay with the double standards that benefit you. But the ones you don't like, you just throw at the wind, use sign language, shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right to deflect and dismiss guys who are normally intimidated by this thing. I'm not. I'm just challenging your positions. You're okay with it not being fair when it benefits you.
We've got quite a large pay dispute happening with our Australian women's soccer team at the moment. Is it frustrating for you as someone who's so prominent in your sport? And we heard you say on the Ellen show the other day you are the richest fighter in UFC, that sort of thing is still going on?
I think that how much you get paid should have something to do with how much money you bring in. I'm the highest paid fighter, not because Dina and Lorenzo wanted to do something nice for the ladies. They do it because I bring in the highest numbers. They do it because I make them the most money. And I think that the money that they make should be proportionate to the money that they bring in.
Michael, do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people?
Mm-hmm.
Mothers? Women?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they if they're not mothers?
They're pregnant people.
What people other than mothers are pregnant?
Does it bother you to use inclusive language?
Well,
It's just interesting because
I prefer to use precise language.
it's interesting because you come into this conversation, trying to hold this moral superiority, but then
I try to be moral when I can, but
Right, but when I use inclusive language, which it only takes a couple extra syllables to use inclusive language,
To include
and
who?
it seems to include people who don't, identify as women but can become pregnant.
So, like a person who's born a woman and then identifies as a man
Mhm.
and is pregnant.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that in order to be a moral person, I need to accept the idea that a man, someone who is born a man and looks like a man, can really become a woman. That's a prerequisite of my being a moral person.
I mean, yes. To me, it is, because if you are trying to deny someone of their identity and deny what their life experience is, then that doesn't seem like a moral stance to me. I want to be accepting, and I want to respect people's life experiences and respect the way that they want to identify and respect the way that they want to present themselves to the world.
Bronte, I would
Yes.
like to identify, I do identify actually,
Mhm.
as the correct person on this issue of abortion. I identify as being correct and more correct than you on this issue. And I would just ask that you accept and affirm my identity. Do you?
Well, you are not a medical professional, and abortion and pregnancy
No, I'm
is
just
a
talking about
medical
my identity.
concern. That's not your identity.
That is my, I promise you, that's my identity.
Trisha, what is the
So
force?
dumb.
Trisha, what is the force that causes objects to fall to the ground?
Girl, you better.
I know this because my titties are low thanks to gravity.
Yay! A personal anecdote.
Can we just also say we don't actually need gravity? But that's a different thing.
What do you mean by
I
that?
saw someone do this. Was this a TikTok? We were watching something where someone's like, we don't actually need gravity. We were watching this with me. Like, we actually don't need it.
What do you mean that we don't need gravity?
What if it was never invented?
Invented by who?
Sir Isaac Newton.
Isaac Newton created gravity.
Whoever created gravity, someone did, but we don't actually need it.
There
Like,
was
we
a
could have
time
just
on
all.
there was a time on Earth before gravity existed.
Yes. Who created gravity, babe? Dan.
It was Isaac Newton. You're right.
You were in the
over it.
right ballpark. Sir Isaac Newton perhaps first defined and discovered
Maybe-
gravity. He
What do you
didn't
mean we don't
invent
need gravity? I'm curious about that
We just
statement.
don't need it.
But like, what do you mean?
The moon doesn't have gravity.
It does. All bodies, all celestial, all bodies,
All
you have
mass.
gravity.
Anything with
In
mass
fact,
has gravity.
In fact, some would say you have a sizable amount of gravity.
What's that mean? I'm fat? You're calling me fat
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, attractive. Thank you, Moses.
Well, you're fat.
You don't want to get married at all? You don't want a
Not
family
yet.
or children?
Yes, but in the future, but no now.
Well, you're 28, right?
Yes.
When do you want to have kids?
35 maybe.
Well, at 35, 90, from a biological standpoint, at 35 years old, around 90% of your eggs are gone. And your ability to bring a child to term comes down a lot.
I don't think so. Age is a number.
I mean, you can say you don't think so, but realistically speaking, your chances of having a child bringing them to
Freeze the
term
eggs.
at 35, that doesn't work often, and it's very expensive.
I don't know. I want to enjoy my life, so I'm not ready.
I went on a date recently with this girl. She was a really hardcore feminist, which I'm cool with. But then at the end of the date, she wanted me to pay for dinner. I was like, come on. Can't be a feminist just for the good stuff. Every time a man pays for dinner, he should be allowed one sexist joke at the girl's expense. Like, if I've paid for dinner, then on the car ride home, she's like, oh, wish I had a ping pong table at my workplace. I get to be like, oh, come on. That'll never fit in the kitchen. Yeah, I told her that joke. She was not happy at all. She was like, that's really sexist. I was like, yeah, but it's thrifty, you know? Like, if you paid for dinner, I'd let you have one racist joke. That's a bargain. And she's like, yeah, your people love a bargain, don't they? Oh, equality. I'm surprised she even went on a date with me. You know, usually white girls don't really go for brown guys. Brown dick is like the black jelly bean to a white girl. They'll put it in their mouth, but only through a lack of other options.
Such a feminist that I believe in God because God is a woman, right? And so was Jesus. It's pronounced Jesus. We've just been saying it wrong, you know? You've seen the pictures, long hair, cheekbones, turning water into rosé. Made her 12 closest friends go to a group dinner. Just to be like, one of you bitches is gonna betray me. And I will literally die. Jess, why are we sitting on one side of the table? For the group picture, bitch. Everybody lean away from me. This is about me. My dad's more important than your dad.
Toxic feminism, as it's often called, is a far cry from the original principles of feminism, which supposedly stood for equality, inclusivity, and respect for all genders. True feminism aimed to dismantle patriarchal structures that oppressed both women and men through rigid gender norms. But this new brand of feminism, it's all about division and self-victimization. Toxic feminism thrives on creating a divide, pitting men and women against each other instead of fostering mutual respect and understanding. It's no longer about breaking down barriers. It's about building new ones, with men as the perpetual villains. Instead of advocating for equality, it pushes for superiority under the guise of empowerment. This modern take has turned feminism into a platform for relentless man-bashing and perpetual victimhood, where any semblance of accountability or shared responsibility is thrown out the window. Rather than addressing real issues that affect everyone, toxic feminism fixates on trivial grievances and manufactured outrage. It weaponizes gender to gain sympathy and power, all while alienating potential allies and driving a deeper wedge between the sexes. The narrative has shifted from seeking genuine equality to championing a distorted version of justice where women can do no wrong and men are forever to blame. It's a toxic stew of blame, resentment, and entitlement, far removed from the noble goals feminism once pursued.
You trust your man around other women?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you trust other women around your man?
No. No.
If women don't even trust other women, why would they expect a man to trust women?
That's a good point. That's a good point, actually. I just feel like women do it because they're insecure, so they want to see, like, if the guy will leave their girlfriend for them.
If I find a girl that I want to make my wife, and I find her super attractive.
Make your wife. Okay.
Yeah, because that's what I would do. I would make her my wife. I would ask her to marry me and then make her my wife. You say you are a feminist. You're 100% a feminist.
That is feminist.
You look.
Like,
you heard me say that.
Oh,
you
I want
heard.
to make her my wife. Like.
Yeah, because that's what I would do.
It's like I'm an equal human, a woman. It's
You-
not about
you
you
say
wanting
that-
to make her your wife.
Obviously, she would want to be
She
my
has
wife.
her own life. She wants to be your wife too.
Yeah, of course, but she's
She
not
wants
gonna.
to go
She's
to the club. She wants to do her makeup.
no, she's not gonna
She
want to
wants
go to
take
clubs.
pictures.
She's not
Yeah,
gonna want to
she
go to
does.
clubs. No,
She does.
because here's the thing. That's a non-negotiable for me in marriage.
Okay, well
if
then,
I find
good
a
luck.
woman, if there's plenty of women out
Good
there
luck.
that don't want to go to clubs all the time.
Okay, well.
There's plenty of women out there that
Have
don't want to
fun
go to
with that
clubs
girl.
in tiny little dresses.
Women feeling humbled by loneliness and desperately seeking men's attention is a clear sign of the mess society has made. These women are finally learning the hard way that forming meaningful relationships isn't a walk in the park in today's social and dating scene. As they face these challenges, they're forced to rethink their tactics, leading to some much-needed introspection and a reality check. This tough process can actually lead to growth and a deeper appreciation for genuine connections, rather than just craving superficial attention.
If a woman has lots of sexy photos on her dating profile and no bio, should she be surprised if guys are only contacting her for hookups?
Oh, absolutely
No.
no.
Definitely not.
Why not?
Because she's kind of asking for that attention.
Is she not promoting herself in the same fashion if she's out walking the streets in a slutty outfit?
No. No.
So why would it make a difference if you're online or out in public?
Because you're posting those photos for like a specific dating app while you're walking outside. It's like how you want to dress.
What? I dress this way because I want to dress this way for me and not for anyone else.
So why can people make assumptions about you online but not in person?
I think they can make assumptions about both, but online I feel like it kind of goes for more like what you post, because you can kind of choose what you want to post and what you don't want to post. Whereas in person, I guess you can choose what you want to wear and what you don't want to wear, but I don't know.
What's your craziest experience you've ever had?
Okay, so one night I was at a basketball game. One of the Miami Heat players actually invited me.
Miami Heat?
We get into his vehicle and he was like, would you be down for a threesome with another girl? And I was like, yeah, you know, it's always been my fantasy. So we arrived to his house, and it's like a really pretty mansion. And the girl, like, I meet her, she's really pretty. You know, we go to the bedroom. We're all like messing around a little bit, and she starts to take off her panties, and she still has her dick.
Whoa! Damn.
So he's trying to convince me. He's like, in my eyes, she's a woman. She's beautiful. And I was like,
who was it? Stop playing around. Say the name. Everybody, let's figure this out. A mansion. It wasn't a backup player. Jimmy, Bam, Duncan. How many of them got max deals?
I want equal pay because it's like, why am I going to college? I'm getting A's and B's and this nigga got C's.
All right, let me ask you this. Would you rather have a high-profile job for no pay or clean sewers for $100,000 a year?
I would clean sewers if it's more money.
Okay. Do you think most women would choose to do that?
I don't know what most women choose, but I'm talking about me.
Okay, no, I get that, but I'm saying I've interviewed hundreds of women, and most women actually would not choose the dangerous, dirty job. Is that possibly why a lot of women get paid less? Why do we have the expression, that's a man's job?
Because certain things are a man's job. Because it's like, why gotta take the trash out if there's a man in the house?
Right, so I'm just saying.
Or lift heavy things.
Well, is it fair to say if you want equal privileges, you need equal responsibilities?
No, why is responsibility equality?
Because you gotta
I'm just trying to get equal pay.
Because you gotta take the bad with the good.
Why do I have to do all the extra shit if why can't I have equal pay?
Don't you have to take the bad with the good?
No, you do not. We should have equality, period. You see what I mean? You know what I mean?
I don't know what that means, and I don't want you to keep.
A man points out that toxic feminism is wrecking relationships by pushing divisive attitudes instead of mutual understanding. He notes that these dynamics make men hesitant to approach women, fearing backlash or false accusations. This toxic climate has forced some women to rethink their approach to relationships and feminism, moving towards a more balanced perspective. Consequently, women are being forced to humble themselves in their interactions, desperately trying to rebuild connections based on respect, empathy, and shared values. This shift is essential for fostering healthier, more inclusive dialogues around gender and relationships, but it's a shame it took such a mess to get here. Meanwhile, a wife who feels guilty and humbled by her infidelity has the nerve to blame her husband for her actions. This is fundamentally unfair. By pinning her cheating on her husband's actions or shortcomings, she dodges accountability and undermines any chance for real reconciliation and healing in the relationship. True resolution requires honest self-reflection and owning up to personal faults, something that's sorely lacking in this scenario.
My wife is cheating on me. While I've been away serving my country, protecting and providing for my family, she's been sleeping with another man in my home, in my bed. It was my stepfather. My stepfather is the father of that child. She's not having my baby, she's having my stepbrother. Take the blindfold off. It's his grandfather! Are you crazy?
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? His grandfather? My father?
You left us. You never cared. You never.
And that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. Support this channel through membership. You can also support through PayPal link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.